Welcome to Sorry I'm a Bitch. I'm your host, Kaylee.
And I'm Hannah.
And on today's episode, we are talking about being a force to be reckoned with.
What does that mean?
When I think about it, I was thinking about how as I've gotten older, I have just become unfuckwithable.
Unfuckwithable.
Like, I don't know. I think I made that up. But
you heard it here first, everyone.
Yeah. I feel like as I've gotten older, I don't let shit slide anymore, to the point where it's like, I don't want to fuck with her because she's going to eat me alive. So let's just leave her alone.
Yeah. Do you have any examples?
Yes.
That you want to share?
Yes. We own a home. It's 120 years old. Mm-hmm. We're very protective of it, as I think you should be if you own an older home. And so we're very conscious about is that the word? Conscious?
Yeah.
About who we hire to work on our home. And we had a company come and put gutter guards on our house, and they didn't clean out the gutters, and it flooded our basement, and it just tore up all of the drywall.
Wait.
Yeah.
What's up with people having jobs and not doing their jobs?
Yeah. And we hired a company, and the company hired a contractor to come out and do it. And then we were like, hey, you caused damage to our home. This is how much it's going to cost. And they were like, yeah, we'll pay for half of it, but you guys need to take responsibility for this as well, because you guys didn't clean out your gutters. And we were like, we hired you to clean out our gutters. So they wouldn't do it. So we took them to court and we won. And they still haven't paid. It's been like a year. It'll be a year in August that we've been fighting with them. But I'm like, no, we'll take you back for the money. Like, I'm not going to stop.
They haven't paid you yet?
No.
How do you get someone to pay you?
Well, I think we have to go back to court and we have to say they haven't paid us.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the point of going to court?
Yeah.
What is the point of having a legal system?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Do you have any examples
of being unfuckwithable?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm that unfuckwithable.
Really?
Honestly, I think you're more unfuckwithable than I am. That's part of my journey that I'm still trying to be with. Like when we came up with this topic and you were like, let's find examples of people, get our brains going. And I was like, Walter White.
Yeah.
And he's unfuckwithable, but I'm also like, he's also a sociopath. I love that he's fiercely protective of his family and wants to support them. Like the first few seasons, you're just like, oh, I like this character. But then he just morphs into this evil character. So I guess my question is, how do you be unfuckwithable and not be, pardon my French, a total cunt?
How do you not take it too far?
Yeah. Like, how do you not just kill someone?
I think there's being unfuckwithable, like not a force to be reckoned with and not to be played with. And I think that is, you come at me first, I'm going to finish it. And then I think there's just, starting shit too, which isn't the same thing.
Yeah. So basically having poise to it. I feel like unfuckwithable, you have to be so centered and secure in yourself to be like, you know what? Everyone else can try and fuck with me, but I have this force field of confidence around me that even if someone fucks up my gutters and fucks up my home and I take them to court and all of these things, you seem unbothered by it. It's obviously unfortunate, but you're just like, my life goes on. Who's your example that you came up with?
The first person I thought of was Meghan Markle. Just following her process of entering into the royal family and then seeing things that were happening in the media, seeing how people were treating her. And to me, it kind of felt like it was after she had her first child, where she was like, you know what? They've fucked with me. They're not going to fuck with my child. Let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
I was watching their documentary, and that was another thing too, is you could tell it was killing her. It was not a good situation for them to be in, but she was just like, I got to protect my fucking family. Yeah. This isn't going to happen. And shout out to Harry too, for being like, I grew up here. This is my family. That had to have been difficult.
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah, but that's his family now.
Exactly. To choose your partner and to support them. And also she ultimately was choosing herself and her peace. That's the other thing about being unfuckwithable. You have to choose yourself always. It's that idea, and I've brought this up in the past, of when you're on the airplane and if it's going down, you got to put the mask on yourself first before you can put the mask on someone else.
Yeah.
I'm reading this book called Anatomy of the Spirit. it talks a lot about healing and finding your power. And I feel like that's kind of that unfuckwithable idea, is when you are fully healed and you have your, you know, your self-esteem is in a place where no one can touch it, that's peace. Mm-hmm. That is perfection. I think that's the goal that everybody wants. Like, fuck money, fuck having the best clothes, or like all these material things. Like, be unfuckwithable.
Mm-hmm. My mom, I feel like it's recently becoming
I love
just
that.
a force to be reckoned with. I think that my mom has more so come into herself and being like, you know what? I think people are treating me this way because I'm letting them treat me this way. Fuck that.
Yeah.
We're just recently at a comedy show, and she got into it with a guy next to us because he was spouting some alt-right conspiracy theory shit. And she was just like, you know what?
Shut up and sit down.
Yeah. Like, why do you think that you have the right to just like be a talking piece right now, like a mouthpiece for this? Like, fuck that. I'm going to correct you. And then like the whole time she just had her back to him. And then it turns out we were in the wrong seats. Thank goodness. So like they came to move us. And I was like, we got better seats. But I was like,
I love your mom. She has such solid energy.
Yeah.
And there's like, when we were at her house a few weeks ago, I was like, this is just like really calm. She seems so calm. And I think that's something about our mothers, especially at the age that they're at right now. At like, how old's your mom?
Be 62 this year.
Okay. My mom is, oh my God, 66 this year. My mom is so at peace and she loves her life. Both of our moms are single.
Yeah. Happy to be single too.
Yeah. And are living close to family. Yeah. Happy to be single. That's the thing my mom has always said. She's like, you know what? I don't want to deal with men and their bullshit. She's like, I did that. Didn't work out for me. I'm over it. I'm going to live my life the way that I want to live it. And I was like, good for you.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I'm not jealous, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm jealous of that, you know, that confidence that, and I'm looking forward to being in my 60s to have that, to have that sense of self.
Yeah.
I think that'll be nice.
Yeah. When I became a mom, I feel like I think I was telling you that right after I gave birth, I was like, you know what? No one can tell me shit anymore. Like, I just went through some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And brought life into this world. And labor is no bullshit.
Did you have the ring of fire?
Yeah, I did. They like warn you that it's going to come.
You're approaching the ring of fire.
Yeah, she well, like the head comes out and then you're like, okay. And then they're like, all right, ring of fire. We got to do the shoulders. And I'm like, all right, let's fucking
Here
go.
comes the shoulders.
Yeah. But I got really lucky in the sense of I labored for 14 hours, but I pushed for 7 minutes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it was like,
that's like
okay.
me every morning taking a shit.
7 minutes of pushing.
I watched this TikTok of this person with ceramic, whatever. They were spinning clay. And they showed, here's 1 centimeter, 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters, up to 10 centimeters. And I was like, oh my God. I don't think I've ever actually put that visual together.
Yeah.
And I'm just wide open.
Yeah. Well, I also went from 3 or 4 centimeters to I am having a baby within like an hour and 20 minutes or something like that.
Whoa.
It was very quick, and to the point where like my nurse who had been with me all night, she went to lunch, and so I had like another nurse in there, and it was like, hey, I feel like there's a bowling ball in my asshole. Oh. And she was like, we just checked you not too long ago. You were like 3 centimeters. And I'm like, but I'm telling you, I have not felt this. It hurts. There's a bowling ball in my asshole. Yeah. I don't think that's normal. I haven't had this feeling until like now.
Just now.
And then my nurse who I had been with the whole time came in, and she was like, how long has she been like this? And I was like, a while. Nobody's doing anything.
14 days and 36 hours.
I was like, I'm telling you, there's a bowling ball in my ass. Like, she like went and checked me, and she was like, she is having a baby. She's actively having a fucking baby.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know how long it was 7 minutes from the time she was like, we need to break down the room. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, the nurses and doctors who work in the maternity ward, they're so familiar with birth and, you know, all the steps and the phases and all of the, you know, all the things that women go through. But yet we don't really teach women how to recognize these things. Because obviously it was your first child.
Yeah.
You had the unfamiliar feeling of a bowling ball in your asshole.
Yeah.
Little Lydia.
Yeah.
You were going with your gut instinct and you were saying like, hey, something is happening. And yet someone was just disregarding you.
Yeah.
You were unsure and probably frightened.
Yeah.
And also like, fuck you, I'm having a baby. Let's get with the picture here.
Well, I also think the problem is I'm pretty like laissez-faire. So I think when crazy shit's happening, I'm like, hey, I feel like there's a bowling ball in my asshole. And I do think it's important for us to be advocates for ourselves, but also you can be an advocate for yourself and still be ignored.
Yes.
My entire pregnancy, I was sick. Like I couldn't keep anything down. It was during COVID, so I didn't want to like
your bowl.
Yeah, my puke bowl that I just like carried around from 4 weeks pregnant until literally still in the labor room, still throwing up. It was constant. I kept going into the doctor the whole first trimester. She was like, you're pregnant. This is the first trimester. It'll be fine in the second trimester, every appointment. I have broken blood vessels like still in my face from throwing up so often. And she was like, you're pregnant, you know? And so I told Zach, I was like, I need you to be my advocate. I need you to tell her that this is happening. So he was telling her constantly she is throwing up. And she literally looked at him and was like, she's pregnant. And then I had a different doctor and she was like, well, you had HG. You have hyperemesis gravidarum or however you say it. But I also think I was fat too. So I was losing weight while I was pregnant, and I think it just like wasn't a problem because like I was fat. You can be an advocate for yourself and still have.
Why does this country hate pregnant women?
I don't know.
And women.
Children too. I feel like we don't treat children like they're a part of society. I see it a lot where they're like, why is your child on this plane? I feel like the French have that view of children. They're like, children are people, they exist, they're a part of society and they're an important part of society, whereas Americans, we just like love to hate on children.
Absolutely.
We love to do it. When we took Lydia on her first trip on an airplane, we were kind of potty training at the same time, so she would go to the bathroom and then go back, and trying to put a 2-year-old back into a seatbelt, she just didn't understand. So I'm like talking her through it and telling her, why we have to do it. I'm like putting her seatbelt on. I was maybe talking to her for like 2-3 minutes. Yeah. And flight attendant came up to me and she was like, she needs to be in a seatbelt. And I looked at her and I go, what's your optics? What is it? What do you think I'm doing? And then the male flight attendant comes up and just like picks Lydia up, and he was like, do you want to collect trash with me? And she's like, yup. And he just like took her through the aisles. This young guy, total sweetheart. And she was fine after that. She was like, that was so much fun.
Yeah. I've never understood when people are upset about kids being on planes. I've had really positive experiences. One time this adorable baby just like fed me Cheerios, like kept trying to like put its little fingers in my mouth, and I'm like, no, I don't know where those have been. But like kids are the best, and when you're chill around them, they're chill.
People are like, your kids don't know how to behave at a restaurant, but also don't bring them to a restaurant so they can learn how to behave at a restaurant. Yeah, exactly. And I get that there are places. Obviously, if it's a super nice, fancy, fine dining that you're spending hundreds and hundreds, like, sure.
Read a room. And most people can read a room. Yeah. And also, it's important to introduce your child into society so they can acclimate and be functioning adults. Yeah. That's why America's so fucked right now, is because people haven't done that.
I actually just saw on TikTok today another woman who I love, Julia Fox. Her book, Down the Drain, was, I read like 73 books last year, and I'm going to read way more this year.
Just a humble brag, really quick.
No, I'm going to read way more this year.
How many did I read? 0. 0 books.
Yeah, I read 73 books last year, and her book was my favorite read. I was down. It was so good. Do the audiobook because her voice is just beautiful, and like hearing her talk about her own story, like she has lived a life, a few of them. She made a TikTok that said that she's been working on this project for like 4 or 5 years. A director signed on to it. They had a meeting and she was like, hey, it's very important for me to diversify the cast.
Yeah.
And that's just one thing that I'm like not gonna sway from. That's just very important to me. And he was like, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen. Like, it's hard for white people too. She said, I can't work with you.
Good.
And that's what I mean by unfuckwithable. These are my boundaries. These are my morals. These are like, this is important to me.
Equal representation is important. And the only way that it will ever happen is if we make it happen.
Yeah. Well, and think about the biggest projects. Bridgerton.
Oh, so diverse.
So diverse. Diverse and not even just race. Diverse in age, and it's beautifully done. I love Penelope. Gorgeous, stunning. And that is the biggest show. Yeah. And it's like, if it was an all white, boring I probably wouldn't have watched it.
I wouldn't watch it.
Like,
I mean,
whatever.
Honestly, I've watched Bridgerton. I put it on in the background when I'm working and I'm like, oh, it's kind of captivating. I like the drama. I love the romance.
You know who took Unfuckwithable the wrong direction? Olivia Culpo.
Who is that?
She
why don't I know these things? This podcast is actually just me learning from you
things
about society.
She got married recently and she was wearing a wedding dress that had like the long sleeves, like, you know, and she was like, I just wanted to be a modest bride. But the dress was ugly and ill-fitted. So, you know, there were people on TikTok who analyzed wedding dresses and, you know, it's like their whole account. They were like, yeah, just not digging it. And her and her husband got into the comments and they were calling this girl, I think her name was Gown-Eyed Girl. They were calling her evil or just like not liking her wedding dress.
Also, people who exert energy posting any sort of negativity, why are you doing that? You gotta care less.
I'm not gonna let a stranger tell me who I am or who they think I am or what they think I'm about, because that's a stranger. They don't know me. I feel like if my husband was like, hey,
hear
that was
strangers
mean. Yeah, I'd be like,
you
okay,
mean strangers, you stop it.
Well, also that's our kink, so keep going.
Yeah.
Maybe we like it. Maybe that's what this is all about.
Be mean to me.
People will comment some mean things on people's appearance. Like, why are you commenting on people's appearances?
Everybody's
That's so wild.
Different. Just let people be.
Yeah, chill out.
We all collectively have to be unfuckwithable.
My favorite thing to say is, you'll live. You will.
Yeah.
I promise.